Welcome, everybody, to another Bryan's Builds. I am Bryan, being joined today with Andrew from also the podcast. Say hi.
Hello.
That's not what I said. Say hi.
Hello?
Say hi.
Hi.
Thank you. Today, I have built Tengai on fire. You can see that on the screen here. 6 hand size, 25 health character. With response once per turn, discard 3 cards. After an attack is played, you may play 1 non-attack ally card from your discard pile as your next card this turn. And then enhance once per turn, your turn. If you have played a card from anywhere other than your hand this turn, your rival discards a card. Now I'm going to admit, I gave him a suboptimal deck because I can't read, because I play card games. I missed that it said non-attack ally card. So this deck is very ally-centric and is probably not as good as it could have been. That being said, I did think this still had some really cool ideas, even after I realized I am dumb. The idea here is to play cards like Earth Beast Golem, Quick Burn, Rapid Speed Slash to steal momentum or get momentum, and then play stuff like Big Freaking Explosion. Hey, here's a million damage from my 1 momentum. Or Fiery Vengeance, here's a bunch of momentum powerful 4 to kill your opponent. Replay Trace Eyes without having to blow up your stage. Things in that vein. In the attack lineup, we had Big Freaking Explosion, Trace Eyes, Earth Beast Golem, Fiery Vengeance, Rapid Speed Slash, and Quick Burn. In the assets and actions, we had Young Heroes, because it says ally.
This card actually proved to be a pretty decent card, considering the fact that it's an ally asset that you can cheat in with Tengai. And I want to backtrack a little bit. This character is kind of interesting, but he is heavily gated for like no reason.
I kind of agree. He could have been non-ally, or maybe or he could have just lost the non-attack thing. I don't feel like this list. I feel like this list is good, but would never have been like insanely good. If he could just pick up one of these attacks once per turn.
Well, it's also his enhance also just being a once per turn your turn. Okay, I can kind of understand why it says your turn, because your opponent losing cards from their hand during their turn can be pretty strong. I think Hold Hostage is a strong example of that. I can kind of understand why it says once per turn your turn from the enhance, but I still think that enhance is still gated to just be weak because of that.
It could have been a once per turn if he didn't make you discard stuff, and then just been able to do it when he responds. He also gets the enhance on the next one, but it would have to have been something that wasn't discard a card.
I just feel like if with the way it is worded, how it works, you either either ends up being too strong or too weak. So like there was like no real way to really do it.
I agree. Unless, of course, you did one of my favorite things. Gave him a bunch more health, took away a hand size, and then he could have done it on your turn. And their turn. You'd be like, you discard a card. Please. Oh, like his response and enhance once per turn could have just been once per turn. You'd be like, I'll block, and then if you play another attack, I'll make you discard.
Yeah.
Stop it. But he would have been a fake hand, like fake 7-hander instead of a fake 8-hander. So he would have probably had to have like 30 health. Coming back to where we were talking about, Young Heroes has some decent play. Specifically, he gets to cheat it, so I don't have to run a million of them. And it says ally, so he can just block with it over and over as a mid block, or use it, build it, use your once per turn to commit something important, or discard cards to undo damage buffs. Vertical maneuvering equipment, because the goal was to use things like Earth Beast Golem and these to steal momentum, which just means you can give speed now as well on cards that aren't Rapid Speed Slash.
I will say, again, with Young Heroes, the enhance actually felt good to use. Like, I never really gave this card too much thought when it first dropped. I just looked at it, just went, oh, that's kind of cool, I guess. But who plays assets, am I right? And look where we are today, where you kind of want to splash in assets in some decks. And I think Young Heroes is actually not that bad of a card, because in one of the games that I played, I did end up using it to shut down like key foundations. Uh, both matches, there weren't any assets. Slight spoiler. I did use it to shut off key found like defensive pieces, which did feel pretty good.
And it's free. You don't have to commit anything for it. You just go, hey, I'll use my thing.
Oh, okay. So I actually misplayed that. I thought I had to commit it. So I turbo through with that card. So I definitely could have just had it for both turns.
Into the actions, obviously you have his action. The only reason I'm not running it as a 4 of is I needed space for other things. But I do think it probably should have been a 4 of, even just kind of looking at it quickly. We have a teamwork. We just have the 1 because we're just looking to cheat play it over and over. We don't actually ever want this in hand. We just want to block with it for free and then get a free block afterwards. Or go, hey, surprise, this attack has 5 more damage than I said. And then same with Anna Voice. It's just a really good mid block. You want to basically just block with it breaker and then go, hey, was that a throw? Or double damaged for some reason? No thanks. So it just gives you an Omni block in your discard pile, which is really good.
These action cards are pretty dope choices. I mean, Barrier Shield, of course. Being able to look at my opponent's attack and be like, wow, that's decently statted. Well, I responded to Tengai and milled card so I can play from my drop. I'm going to free play this Barrier Shield from my drop to say, I'm blocking this and making your next card hard to play.
You don't have to choose when you do his response. Since it says may, you just do it, and then you go, hey, during this attack, I'm allowed to do, or during the rest of this turn, I get a choice to do that, as long as it's my next one. So you can do that, and then just say, they don't give it a bunch of speed, because they're afraid of Barrier Shield, then you can just block with something else, and go, alright, fair enough, here you go. Or even just block with Barrier Shield and have it not count towards progressive, or use its other enhance and go, hey man, no drawing this time. So there's a lot of cool stuff with Tengai in the action category. I do feel like that was where the majority of the real good sauce was just going, here's 3 different block zones on actions. I don't ever have to keep them in hand, which means I'm going to have real cards in my hand. Let's do crazy stuff.
I do like what Tengai... Like, Tengai is kind of a defensive character, and I do like that. He was a lot more defensive than I expected him to be. I wasn't really expecting him to be an aggro character by any means, but I just looked at this character card and just went, how hard can he be to kill for your opponent? And then after the games I played, I was like, he can be pretty defensive.
For sure. I did think from my own like quick analysis, like there's a lot you can do here on Fire, just stealing cards. Now that being said, if I had been able to read properly, I probably would have tried to build him on Evil or Void. They probably would have been better versions of the same deck. Obviously, some of the actions wouldn't have been the same. At least Anna Voice wouldn't have been in here.
Yeah, you'd have to lose Anna Voice. You get to keep Teamwork and Barrier Shield, though.
And then I would have lost Young Heroes for something else. And the attack lineup obviously would have been different, but I wouldn't have built everything on allies, basically. But anyway, onto the foundation lineup, and then we can talk about how your games went. We have Wild Wild Kootsy Cats. It says ally. It steals a free card. Counts as Echo when you block with it. It's just a very good card to build. Also, it's a great target for you to, like, destroy and then get it back for free.
Yeah, I will say I never really used the response on it, but I did use the form on it to... There was actually one moment where I flipped it to reveal the top 3 cards, and one of the foundations I revealed was Ice Gliding. I'm like, yeah, give me that card. Because Ice Gliding is a very good card.
It is very strong. Also in the allied portion of it, we had the Power of Love, mostly to cancel things, because it's very good. And its cancel is respond, destroy, and so you just pop it on their turn, and then you build it on your turn again, and go, I have a cancel every turn.
Yeah.
Stop it. As if you can't do anything that really, really threatens me outside of what I have in hand, I'm allowed to just pop this during the turn and then build it back in on my turn for free. Resigned is another card with his face on it, so I put it in. I think this might have been maybe the weakest ally card that's in this deck that he's allowed to actually pick up.
I would probably agree. I did have moments where I thought about playing it, but I just had better options.
Sure. And then Childhood Friends was mostly to want to give you another low block option, which I thought was important, to basically have those options on block. The mill, after your powerful is blocked, gain a health. I was like, in burn, I was like, this isn't terrible. The flip to steal an attack back that matches 2 or more of your symbols. We had, if I remember correctly, Trace Eyes,
and Quick Burn.
Yeah, and Quick Burn, which was but kind of ended up being the reasons, and Rapid Speed Slash, kind of ended up being the reasons those cards were in here, is because you could buy them back with the other Childhood Friends and then try and blow it up so you could rebuild it, and just always play that one attack back again if necessary. It was a thought on how you could try and play the game more there.
Yeah, I saw the idea with Childhood Friends. Unfortunately, with it being 2 of in the deck, I didn't see it all too often. And when I did see it, I just never had the opportunity to use it. So it just kind of ended up sitting in my stage if I did end up building it.
And then the last ally card, if I remember correctly, is Universus Perseverance. This ally card is just really good.
Yes, this card actually was very cool to just go, all right, I definitely need one specific. I mean, ideally, I'm grabbing an attack with this, but it's like I need this specific attack, so I would remove it to go pick up Big Freaking Explosion or Fiery Vengeance, or heck, even Earth Beast Golem if I wanted to get more momentum. Because there was a time where I did use Universus Perseverance. I forget which attack I grabbed. I think I grabbed Fiery Vengeance, and then I played it. Unfortunately, I checked bad, and spoilers, I played against a Shigaraki 3, and he formed the turn prior, and then responded to make the check worse.
Yep.
So I said, okay, that's fine. I forgore.
My bad. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I should have asked.
Universus Perseverance, really dope one of.
And then following that, we had things like Quick to Act, because you don't have that much health, so getting hurt a little bit kind of gives you some extra speed. 1-mana Inferno, so that you can mill to find the cards that you want to repeatedly play for free. And Mikasa's Admission was just you mill, so sometimes it'll be worth giving +2 or -2 damage.
So here's the thing. This was the card I looked at and was wondering why it was here. I figured you put it in because it was a 6-check.
Yes, that too. That's another really important reason.
The wording for how discarding works, I have to discard this from hand.
You're right. And I realized that much later because I had a friend play a similar deck, and like a similar style deck where you're just milling 3 off the top or doing similar things, and then he was like, I'm not allowed to do this. This card is blank.
Yeah,
he's like, I just have a 6-check. Yeah.
It ended up being blank. Like, I built it when I needed foundations, obviously. But most of the time, I kept it in hand for mid-blocks. It was, I just kind of looked at the card and went, this is very weird in this deck. Other than the only valuable thing out of it is it was a 6-check. Yes.
In a future version of this build on like a different symbol, this could be Polite Well Spoken, and then you could just cheat it out over and over. Incubating, of course, very good card on all 3 of your symbols, because Tengai shares all the same symbols with Woman, who also shares all the same symbols with Hiei, which is why we have 4 of Unmatched Quickness in here. Shares 2 symbols with Frightening Calm, so like Evil could be a really good option. I think getting Stun 1 is probably pretty good. If you knew you were going to be able to string into an okay-ish Big Freaking Explosion, I feel like things like Frightening Calm are really good. Seasoned Brawler just draws a card while committed. Thinking on the Fly was another way to just give something like Fiery Vengeance or Big Freaking Explosion an extra oomph of speed. You're like, hey, you blocked that one. Sick. Now here's the one that'll kill you. Ice Gliding, of course, is just a pretty good speed hate. I'm going to be a little sad when it goes.
Yeah, same. Ice Gliding is such a good card.
But it also gives stats. It's useful on both sides of the turn, which is a big deal. We don't have a lot of speed stuff that does that anymore.
Yeah, it is a versatile spam foundation, which is what lends to ice fighting being very good.
You said you played against Shigaraki 3. Who else did you play against?
So my first game was against Shigaraki 3, and then my second game was actually against Edshot. I thought Edshot was a very tricky matchup, specifically this build for Edshot. Edshot wants to pretty much string out once he has his pieces, which was pretty funny because anytime I saw Edshot review a great card, I go, oh, he's going into an attack turn. He's going to kill me. And then proceeded to string out like 6 attacks and be like, all right, can you deal with it? And I go, no, I guess I'll die. So, while I did say earlier that Tengai is a very defensive character, he is, but he still folded to this character who just strung out a bunch.
I think the reason for that, and I think this is really important, and like when we talk about the types of characters they are, like Tengai wants to play defensively. The getting to play an attack or playing a card on your opponent's turn from your discard pile just screams, I get a free Omni block. I can for sure block one attack whenever I decide actually I'm blocking this one. The problem is he doesn't give any stats, positive or negative, on his face, which means he has to raw either be able to pay for that block or play other cards that make it easier for him to block, and that can be really hard. And I also don't think it's really particularly, on fire definitely not, but on his other symbols I don't know how easy it is to do anyway, to get those minuses.
Yeah, it was pretty awkward. It was honestly the most awkward this deck felt was against Edshot, because there was a chance that as soon as I passed my turn, I could just blow up if I blinked, because Edshot is just that kind of character where you think you're safe, you blink, and your health is gone, which is very cool about Edshot. I think this character is very interesting, very fun. He struggles killing people, which is a problem.
I think it's literally just because he's in the same, like I said, he doesn't give stats. He has to play everything completely fair, which is the other reason I feel like it would have been okay for him to steal an attack. He doesn't get to change that attack's number, he just gets another attack.
I definitely think if you got rid of the non-attack gate off of his response, I think Tengai becomes immensely better.
I do too. I don't even think he would put him in top tier necessarily.
No.
I just think he may have been top tier when he came out, because I don't know that a lot of people could have handled that. A lot of decks could have handled the always getting to discard one, and he's always going to have an attack. He always has 2 attacks, basically.
Yeah.
As long as he can hold 1 attack, he's always going to have 2, and he gets to repeat play some really crazy cards. But when he came out, I don't know what ally card he really wanted to repeatedly play as an attack.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think an idea that people had was he kind of cared about like allies, so you would the idea would probably to be play around like Summon Dark Shadow Ruin, like that.
Sure.
Toko ones.
Dark Shadow Ruin on Fire or Evil would have made sense at the time. That would have been a good idea, right? Like I could definitely see that option where you just go, okay, cool, here I hit him. I've played an action. If I see it from my hand, I play an action. I play specifically his action. You just run a couple of the Tokoyami action.
Yeah.
Summon Dark and play it from your discard pile as another option as well. Yeah, but like there's just one card then, and it's a 6 for 9 with stun 1 if you already had the other part, or could give it stats from your board.
I just think this character struggled killing his opponent. I will say, Big Freaking Explosion is a very cool card with Tengai, because you can respond to mill 3, and then when you spend a momentum with Big Freaking Explosion, you're milling 3 more. So you have a chance of seeing a bit more attacks to give Big Freaking Explosion more damage, which I think is very interesting, because as the game progresses on, Big Freaking Explosion just becomes a scarier attack, which I kind of liked. Against the Shigaraki player, I did end up playing Big Freaking Explosion. Ended up being a 6 high for 22 damage.
Yeah, 6 high for everything.
Yeah. because he has a 19 health character. So that I could, if I opened with this and he had nothing, he just kind of blew up.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like an option in general. I do think that's like just something that was kind of the thought process behind the deck at the time, was just, and then you get to say, hey, I have big freaking explosion now that I know you can't block anymore. But obviously that would have been the most original version where I misread him and he's busted Omega powerful version of himself and just gets to play allies.
I will say, I think a good chunk of this attack lineup was fine, all things considered. Obviously, big freaking explosion being the kind of dunk attack that it is. Earth Beast Golem to snag the momentum for, big freaking explosion, fiery vengeance, like these other cards that want to use momentum. And rapid speed slash being that, I want to draw a card, or no, I need a momentum. I'm going to snag a momentum. I'm going to snag another one. Tray size also just being a very cheeky way to trigger the enhance off of Tengai. You echo with tray size. You have now played a card not from hand, so you get to have them discard a card. So you don't even have to respond yet with Tengai to play something. You can just play tray size, echo with tray size, and then now your enhance is online. The only attack I was not really vibing with was quick burn, because it was basically a guessing game if I get to get a momentum or not.
It is. It is a fake 6-min. Since you're a villain, you can villain enhance and say, hey, your block basically is -2.
No, because it says this enhanced step.
You're right. I apologize. It is not as good as I remembered, because it's not until this turn.
I made the same mistake against Shigaraki. I said, your next check's -2. And then I looked at it, I was like, wait a minute. And it said enhanced step. I was like, nope, never mind.
I mean, it is, but never mind.
Yeah, for your next check, this enhanced step is -2. But when you go to block, it's normal, man. So quick burn was the only outlier. I felt like I liked every other attack. Every other attack felt fine. It was cool because I mentioned it earlier that I've played Fiery Vengeance. Actually, I don't think I mentioned this. I played Fiery Vengeance, and then I responded with Tengai to mill 3. And then I milled off a tray size. So I got to discard momentum and pick up that tray size. So I got to steal an attack. So that felt really cool. And that's the thing with Tengai is when the stars align, you start pulling these lines with his response and just how you can have the cards interact with that. Like, he feels very cool. Like, he's got interesting plays with his response. It was just very unfortunate that I just couldn't really kill. That being said, I did end up beating Shigaraki 3. I did manage to get the game off of him. But with game 2, playing against Edshot, I lost in 2. As defensive as Tengai can be, he just was not defensive enough against this string deck. Because I only have so many tricks up my sleeve, and my cards were on the table. Edshot went, okay, well, that's neat. I still have 4 attacks I can throw at you, and they're only going to get bigger.
Yep.
Especially if he's opened with Fold the Body, because that's just the opening string. That's just how Edshot can kill people, is with Fold the Body.
It's not the only way, but it's definitely one of the best ways.
It is the definitive way, I would say. But as soon as you see Fold the Body hit the table, or as soon as I saw it hit the table, I go, can I survive? Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we didn't have the right options. The real goal for something like the Fold the Body line would be basically any of the you have to do something else's, which aren't on fire. So.
I think the fire symbol had some neat cards for sure. Which, again, Big Freaking Explosion being a prime example. Like, I thought Big Freaking Explosion was a very neat card to have with Tengai.
Final thoughts here is this a trash or a pass?
So, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to pass this deck.
Oh, okay.
Do I think this deck is good? On a local level, I think it has potential. You can probably change some of these cards around, like replace a couple of the attacks, or maybe even try a different symbol, and it could probably perform a bit better. I think Tengai is a very interesting and fun character. So I did have a good time sitting there thinking about my response. Multiple times I sat there as an attack was played thinking, do I respond here? Is there anything in my discard pile that I want to play that can help me here? No, I don't think so. I think this is fine. Or I go, oh, you played this card that is like a problem, or I need to block it. Yeah, I'm gonna Tengai so I can play Barrier Shield from my drop. So
100% responding. Yeah.
Yeah, I am definitely going to stop this attack and make your next attack harder to play. That was actually very funny. Against Headshot, I did exactly that. He played an attack. I went, okay, I'm going to respond Tengai to mill 3. I'm now going to get to play a Barrier Shield for my discard pile. I did that after he did some stat pumping. I went, okay, Barrier Shield for my drop on a 2. He literally was like, wait, you're playing it from your drop? I was like, that is what my character does. I handed it off to him. He read it and he's like, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, right?
So I like, yeah, I like the potential that this character has. And for that reason, I'm going to pass this deck.
I do think Tengai, of the ones I have built for the series so far, has the coolest words and the most interesting stuff to do. Except maybe the Joker. Joker has stuff I like to do, which is annoy my opponent.
Joker is just funny.
He makes you laugh.
I hate the milling aspect, but I think the words on him are just funny.
Like, I think Tengai has the most, like, there could be a sauce here if I really wanted to study and, like, really try and figure it out. There might be an idea where Tengai could be not maybe national level good, but, like,
maybe qualifier good.
Yeah, like easily local championship or like day 2 of regionals, because who's going to be prepared for my Tengai deck? No one. Here it is. Here's the cool sauce I've come up with now that I've been really thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, and I did have fun with this character, even though I didn't really win. I won, half my games.
50%.
I did have fun playing the character, which I think is most important.
It is.
I think the character was very fun to play. There were interesting lines I had to think about. I had to think to play this character, which did make it a bit more disappointing when I was like, how do I kill my opponent here? To be fair, there are times where I saw the line and go, oh yeah, this is how Big Freaking Explosion for 22 damage.
Yeah. And then other times it's like, I can't. The actual answer is you don't.
There was a very complex line that involved tray size and playing teamwork from my drop. If I played my response and just how I played tray size correctly, I think I actually could have gotten a game off of that shot, but I didn't see the line and I missed it. I actually had James point it out to me.
You steal the tray size, you play any foundation, and then you play the other tray size.
Yes, that's what it was.
And then you get the +5.
Yes, that's what it was. It was just play a foundation and then play the other tray size, and that way I have the symbols for the teamwork. Also, what pretty much doomed that line is I responded too early because I just didn't see that line at the time. And then after the game or after my turn, James pointed it out, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't catch that line in time. So I think this character has potential. He has sauce, but not on like a competitive level, like a high tier competitive level.
He is really cool, but not good enough for anything like really competitive. But with that, thank you for joining me. Thank you for playing this abomination that I made.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I think the deck was still fun at the end of the day, so I appreciate you building it for me.
So I didn't torture you as much as I wanted to then, because you still enjoyed yourself. I'll have to figure out another way to make this bad for you. With that, this was Bryan's Builds.
Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like to check out the Tengai list for yourself, we're going to actually leave the link in UVS Ultra for you to check out for yourself. That way you can copy it and mess with the list yourself if you would like to. Catch you later.
Catch you later.